car.
Yeah.
Help me!
The other one, she's done the running.
Oh no! Mike Alpha, Mike Alpha.
There was no logical reason for what had happened.
You can't believe that two people have just done that in front of you.
In 2008, a woman stood on the edge of a roaring motorway. She wasn't broken down. She wasn't asking for help. She was just standing there, eerily quiet, still. And then, without warning, she sprinted into traffic. A 40-ton truck crushed her at full speed. She should have died on impact, but she didn't. And before anyone could even scream, her identical twin followed. What happens next and what led them here will shatter your belief system. Two women, two impacts, one of the busiest highways in the UK, and they both got up.
You can see the damage to the vehicle, the windscreen and the roof as well. The majority of people don't survive collisions when they've had an impact like that.
This isn't fiction. This isn't some weird social experiment. It's all caught on camera and broadcasted on live British television, and left first responders convinced they were dealing with something inhuman. But here's the part no one could explain. That wasn't the end. That was only the beginning. This is the unexplainable story of Ursula and Sabina Eriksson, twins who seem to defy death, logic, and even reality. Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. This is The Prime Crime, where we discover and dissect solved and unsolved criminal cases around the world. Today's true crime case is one of the strangest cases ever documented, and to this day no one fully understands what happened. Throughout the video you will have to remind yourself that this isn't a movie. This is the story of the Eriksson twins, and it starts on a highway that became a stage for something horrifying. Before we begin, we would like to send condolences to the people affected by the heinous acts committed by these individuals. The incident. On May 17, 2008, the M6 motorway was humming with traffic. The M6 is not a place to casually stroll. It's one of the fastest, deadliest roads in the UK. British police are out filming an episode of Motorway Cops, a reality show that documents routine traffic stops and highway patrols. The crew expects a normal day. Then, out of nowhere, two women dressed identically in bright red jackets are spotted walking along the median of the highway. Odd, dangerous, but not entirely unheard of. But when officers approach them to get them off the road, things take a dark turn. Without warning, one of the women, Ursula, bolts into traffic. She's hit head-on by a lorry moving at full speed. Her body crumples under the truck. Before anyone can react, her twin Sabina sprints into the next lane and gets hit by a car. She flips over the hood, hits the ground hard.
The other one, she's done the running.
Oh no! Mike Alpha, we need ambulance, senior officers to the scene, we've got two possible fatals.
And then gets up like nothing happened. Cameras are rolling. It's all being recorded. Miraculously, both women survived the impact.
Where's Paul? It was unbelievable when she started to come round and just decided that she was perfectly okay.
But what happens next is even more bizarre. Sabina, dazed and clearly injured, begins screaming, resisting help, and lashing out at responders. She punches a police officer, then screams, "They're going to steal our organs." None of it makes sense. Police are stunned. They try to restrain her. She punches, kicks, and bites. It takes several officers and a sedative to get her under control. Eventually, both women are taken to the hospital. But this strange highway incident, it was only the beginning. Two sisters, one bag, no plan. To understand who these women were, the ones who somehow defied death, let's rewind a little. Sabina and Ursula Eriksson were identical twins born in Sweden in 1967. They were close, as many twins are, but not inseparable. Not the type you'd ever associate with chaos. Ursula had been living in the US. Sabina was settled in Ireland with her partner and two children. By all accounts, completely ordinary. No known history of mental illness. No criminal record. No violent past. But then, just like that, everything changed. On May 16th, just one day before the motorway incident, Ursula traveled from the US to Ireland to visit Sabina. No one knows why. No family emergency, no special occasion, just a sudden, unannounced visit. And within 24 hours of being together, something in them, both of them, snaps. They board a ferry to England, arriving in Liverpool early that morning. From there, they get on a bus headed to London, but they will never make it to London. They're carrying just one bag between them, and whatever is inside, they guard it like it's life or death. Somewhere along the journey, the driver becomes alarmed by their behavior. They're clutching their bags tightly, refusing to let them be searched. Paranoid, jittery, the driver calls the police. Authorities arrive but find nothing. No drugs, no weapons, no visible signs of mental illness. The twins are calm, polite, so they're let go. A few hours later, they will be walking down the M6 motorway into the path of oncoming traffic. The sister who stayed standing. Sabina Eriksson had just run into traffic, assaulted emergency responders, and screamed about people stealing her organs while her sister lay crushed under a 40-ton lorry. And yet, less than 24 hours later, she was released from the hospital. No psych hold, no extended evaluation, just discharged. Let that sink in. With no family, no phone, no money, Sabina wandered the streets of Stoke-on-Trent, disoriented but eerily composed. If you passed her, you might think she was just a tourist who lost her way. You'd never guess she had just survived one of the most disturbing events ever broadcast on live television. That evening, she encountered Glenn Hollinshead, a 54-year-old welder, former paramedic, and a devoted father. He was walking his dog when he saw Sabina. She told him her sister was in the hospital, and she was trying to find her way to visit. She seemed strange, but not dangerous, not violent. And Glenn, the kind of man who helps, did what almost no one else would. He invited her home for dinner. He gave her a place to sleep, and he offered to help find her sister in the morning. It would be the last act of kindness he ever made. Unfortunately, he would not live to see that morning. Dinner with a killer. The next day, May 19th, 2008, less than 48 hours after the motorway incident, Glenn was stabbed 5 times with a kitchen knife inside his own home. As he stumbled outside, bleeding and in shock, he told a neighbor, "She stabbed me." He collapsed and died on the sidewalk before paramedics could arrive. Sabina didn't run like someone who had just committed a murder. She bolted like a wild animal, clutching a claw hammer, swinging it at her own skull with bone-cracking force. Again and again and again. Blood ran down her face, but she didn't stop. A passing motorist, horrified, pulled over to try and help. But before he could reach her, she pulled a roof tile from her coat pocket, as if she'd been waiting for this moment. She smashed it into his head, and then she ran, barefoot, bleeding, wild-eyed. She reached a bridge, and without a second's hesitation, jumped 40 feet down, onto solid concrete, and unbelievably, she survived. This wasn't shared delusion anymore. This was pure destruction, of self, of others, of sanity. And this time, when the police caught up with her, Sabina Eriksson wasn't going anywhere. Devil on trial. Sabina Eriksson had done the unthinkable. She'd survived being hit by a car. She'd stabbed a man who tried to help her. She jumped off a 40-foot bridge and lived to tell the tale. And now she was sitting in a courtroom, but not for murder. She was charged with manslaughter with diminished responsibility, a legal term that implies, yes, she killed someone, but she wasn't fully aware of what she was doing. It took 2 years for the case to go to trial. 2 years where Sabina said almost nothing. No interviews, no statements, not even a real explanation. When she did speak, she said something chilling. "I am not mad. I know you won't believe me." Her defense? Folie, deux, shared psychosis, a rare psychological condition where delusions are transferred from one person to another. Ursula, the sister who sparked the motorway chaos, was said to be the dominant twin. And somehow Ursula's influence triggered a brief but intense psychotic break in Sabina. A spiral into violence with no warning signs. She had no mental illness, no motive, no history of violence, no memory of the events, nothing. And yet a man was dead. And a woman who looked possessed on camera was being labeled not evil, not even a criminal, but mentally compromised. The court agreed. Sabina was sentenced to 5 years in prison. She served just over 2, and then quietly disappeared. She walked into the system like a firestorm, and walked out like a ghost. As for Ursula, she was never charged for anything. She returned to the United States, and to this day no one knows where she is. To this day, the Eriksson case baffles everyone. How did 2 seemingly normal women descend into chaos so quickly and so violently? Is shared psychosis a real explanation, or just a convenient label for something we still don't understand? And what about Glenn Hollinshead, a man who offered help only to be met with horror? The footage still circulates, the questions remain unanswered, and every time someone watches that highway video, they ask the same thing. What on earth really happened to the Eriksson twins? Thanks for watching Prime Crime, and if you thought this case was bizarre, the case I'm covering next is on another level. A young woman goes on a trip with friends, but is found lying in a pool of her own blood less than 24 hours later. What unfolds has left investigators, and the world, asking impossible questions. You'll need to hear this one. Till then, tell me what you think happened to the twins in the comments.